Have you ever looked at your paycheck? Maybe you're actually pulling in a genuinely great income, but at the end of the month, you look around and feel like you are completely stuck living paycheck to paycheck? It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Well, trust me, you're definitely not alone in that. You see, a high salary has this funny way of creating a brilliant illusion of wealth. But today, we're cutting through that illusion. In this explainer, we are getting completely hands-on. We're going to build a step-by-step, action-oriented playbook for personal financial planning, pulling the best rules right from the source material to use as a foundation for action. We are literally going to transform how you look at every single dollar, pound, or euro that hits your bank account.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. We've got a 5-step playbook to get through: the wealth equation, maximizing income, controlling the gap, compound versus decay spending, and finally, assets and environment. Let's get right into it. Step 1, the wealth equation and the golden rule.
When you really boil it down, there are only 3 things you can possibly do with your money. You can earn it, keep it, or grow it. Now, most people spend their absolute entire lives obsessing over just the earning part, optimizing for the fancy job title, the bigger bonus, the better zip code. But the wealthy, they optimize for keeping it and growing it. And they do that by focusing intensely on the wealth equation. What is that? It's the gap. The gap is the literal physical space between your income and your expenses. It's the single number that actually dictates whether you're getting richer or just running faster on a treadmill.
Let's put this into perspective with some actual math, because it's wild. Person A is making a massive 80,000 pounds, but their lifestyle eats up 70,000 of that, which leaves them with just a 5,000 pound gap after taxes. Now, consider person B. They make exactly half that salary, just 40,000, but because their expenses are dialed in at 25,000, they're saving 15,000 a year. Think about that for a second. Person B is saving 3 times more money on half the salary. The top line number on your payslip doesn't build wealth. The size of your gap does. Moving right along to step 2, maximizing your income without hitting a ceiling.
You know how every traditional finance guru on the planet tells you to stop buying lattes? Well, it's because cutting back feels safe, right? It feels responsible. But our source material points out a brutal mathematical reality. Your spending has a floor. Your income, it has absolutely no ceiling. If you spend $2,000 a month, the absolute maximum you can ever save by cutting is $2,000, and that's assuming you stop eating and live on literal air. You can only cut out so many coffees. But on the flip side, there is no mathematical limit to how much you can earn. A side hustle, learning a new high-income skill, negotiating a raise, every single one of those moves your ceiling higher. To really bring this to life, there's this brilliant personal anecdote from the source material. Over a 9-year career in banking, the author went from a $35,000 base salary to a $120,000 base salary. And here's the kicker. That massive jump wasn't achieved by extreme frugality. It wasn't about skipping lunch for a decade. It was achieved by negotiating, switching jobs, and actively asking for their worth. The truth is, the cutting side of the equation rarely changes your life fundamentally, but the earning side, that absolutely does. Which brings us to step 3. Controlling that gap and dealing with lifestyle creep. Okay, this next stat should be a massive wake-up call. 26%. Over a quarter of people making 6 figures are still living entirely paycheck to paycheck. How in the world is that even possible? Simple. The very second they earn more, they spend more. Their exciting new income instantly morphs into their boring new normal. So a year after a huge raise, that all-important gap hasn't moved a single inch. Let's look at how this creep sneaks up on us. The source shares this super relatable story, landing a competitive graduate job and immediately taking $15,000 in savings to buy a second-hand white Audi A3 convertible. The justification? Oh, I deserved it. It's what a banker's supposed to drive. Right. But a friend of theirs on the exact same starting salary took her $15,000 and used it for a deposit on a house. One person absorbed their pay rise into a decaying asset that literally lost value the second it rolled off the lot. The other put it into an appreciating asset that has doubled in value since. Same exact income, wildly different financial realities 10 years down the line. So how do we actually defend against this? Well, here is your ultimate lifestyle creep detector. This is a highly practical checklist you need to run through every single time your income goes up. Let's say you just scored a 10,000 pound raise. Ask yourself these 3 things. 1, did my gap actually increase? Or did I just upgrade my dinner spots and my car lease? 2, am I locking in higher fixed costs, like a way more expensive apartment? And 3, am I absorbing this hard-earned raise into assets that are just going to decay? Earning more money is great, but it literally only matters if more of it stays with you. Step 4. Let's talk about where that money goes. Compound versus decay. Think about it like this. Every single dollar you spend is doing one of two things. It's either compounding or it's decaying. Decaying spending is what we all do most of the time. It's the expensive takeout meal that's gone in 20 minutes, leaving you with nothing but a food coma and a cardboard box. It's fast fashion, it's cars losing value, and hey, you're absolutely allowed to enjoy your life, but you have to recognize that this money is mathematically decaying to zero. Compounding spending is a whole different ballgame. This is the $200 online course that eventually lands you a $5,000 raise. It's a $40 book that shifts your entire perspective. It's even hiring a cleaner to buy back your time so you can build a side hustle. At the checkout counter, they just feel like expenses, but their returns curve upward over time. So before you swipe your card for a big purchase, hit yourself with this single, incredibly powerful filter question from the source material. In 5 years, will I still be glad I bought this? Really think about it. If the answer is a solid yes, it's probably compounding. If you can't genuinely say yes, it's almost certainly decaying. Applying this simple little filter will systematically redirect thousands of dollars a year toward things that actually move the needle for you. Finally, step 5, assets and the power of your environment. Let's talk about the math of building an asset. A traditional salary is a straight trade, right? Time in, money out. The second you clock out, the cash stops flowing. But an asset completely shatters that math. Let's break it down. Say you invest 100 hours upfront building something, maybe a YouTube channel, a digital template, or a piece of software. Eventually, it starts earning you, say, £500 a month completely passively. Over 5 years, that initial 100 hours of sweat equity has generated £30,000. That essentially means you got paid 300 quid an hour for that upfront work, and it just keeps going while you sleep. I mean, there is no standard corporate salary on earth that pays like that. But here's the reality check. You can master the math, you can beat lifestyle creep, you can even start building assets. But to actually sustain this entire playbook long term, you have to take a hard look at your environment. As the old saying goes, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. One of the absolute biggest predictors of wealth isn't raw IQ, it's proximity. Every single income bracket has its own totally different version of normal. In one room, building a business is viewed as this wildly risky thing to do. But step into another room, not building a business is viewed as the risk. To really pull off this financial playbook, you have to be willing to endure the total discomfort of hanging around people who earn more and build more than you do right now. It's gonna feel weird. You're gonna feel like you don't belong at first. But eventually, their standard will just become your standard. So I want to wrap up this explainer by challenging you to reflect on this one single question. What room are you sitting in today? Because make no mistake, the room you spend the most time in will inevitably become your financial ceiling. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this analysis, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.